academic in the Faculty of Built Environment in Architecture program, and I have been teaching for more than 20 years now, so I've got quite extensive teaching experience. I teach mostly in design studios, which is unique to our discipline in some ways, and in history and theory courses. I have taught across pretty much all courses that we offer in architecture program, but this particular course, Design in Diversity, one that you have filmed and we are talking about, sits in that kind of space between architectural history and theory and design thinking. So though it is an elective, it's meant to help students design and implement and use those skills in their design studios. This is a postgraduate course for Master of Architecture students, so it's an elective, but it is core for a number of streams that we have in Masters of Architecture, and currently I have about 55 students enrolled, and I've just been told this morning that it's one of the most popular electives in the program that we have. So active learning is the part, I see it as a part of how we teach architecture or in architecture discipline. We teach through studios, which are quite student focused in terms of pedagogy or ways of teaching and delivering. So active learning is part of what I have always done in a way of engaging with students directly. This particular course doesn't have a ratios of studios, which are usually smaller. Teacher to student ratio is usually smaller in a studio context. Here it isn't, but I have used same kind of systems and ways of thinking about it, which are student focused and very engaging and exploratory in the same time. So they really ask students to engage with the subject matter at a personal level in a way.
To me, I feel like there are a few elements that help me to gain a very good experience in class. First of all, it is the topics which is interesting, and the second one is like I feel like I learn better when I pre-reading before the class. That is why I feel like I get something in mind already. And the third one, I feel like the level of student engagement and participation in the class is very important.
I think it's just working with a group of people, and through the collaboration you can start jumping ideas off other people rather than just being a sole learner and trying to learn from yourself. So I think the collaboration is key, because then you get a really diverse group of people, I should say, that you can contribute to. And like if you're doing group work or not, you can always, like, we're constantly messaging as a group of people, being like, oh, what did you do for this answer, or how did you go about doing this, can you send me your drawings so I can see if I'm on the right track. And if you start having that collaboration in class, you start building those relationships, so then you can start using it as a, like, sort of your little team. Even if it's individual work, you still work as a team.
I suppose extends on what I've said about using these kinds of teaching, but I think for me personally, I try to connect the content and mode of delivery and what I'm trying to get out of course at the same time when I'm planning how to deliver a course. So active engagement is just part of what I'm trying to do at a broader scale, which is to align content, pedagogy and mode of delivery. And it just seems to suit my way of thinking to actually have these diverse points of view. Part of the course is called Designing Diversity, so part of it is to think differently, to allow yourself to shift perspective and see something from someone else's point of view. So empathy and shifting perspective is part of it, and active engagement allows for that, because you kind of, at one point you're discussing something with your own group, and then you're presenting to another group and they might have different views, and we have had people saying, oh, that's not quite how I think about it. So allow yourself in a non-threatening environment to actually see different points of view. And the culture is a key to this, and community life. So they being trained to become architects, I believe they need to be able to see things from different points of view. Profession is such that you actually eventually act on someone's behalf or act for someone. I think probably the most important is to think about what you're trying to achieve in a classroom in terms of content, and then think about mode of delivery that suits that kind of content and that pedagogy and your academic aims. So in that sense, I have kind of moderated my own course to suit what I want to do and think of outcomes and what I want students to deliver at the end, and kind of work back and forth. So I would say it's crucial that you think of it as a constructive alignment between different parts. It's not just how you deliver class in a particular day or a particular course. It's really what you're trying to achieve. What has worked for me in a sense of having this focus on individual students and their project is also allowing them to develop their own voice, so that can be done on a small scale. The class is now large, it's an elective, it is difficult sometimes if you have a big class to have that direct engagement with students, but having projects focused on individual students and students choosing their own projects does allow for that kind of individual content to be delivered, and also students to be engaged more directly with the subject matter. So I think constructive alignment between all the aims of what you're trying to do is key to it.